What's going on, people? It's your boy Leon from Leon Talks TV, and today we're going to be delving into the topic of most attractive race of men on dating apps, according to data. And also, we'll be touching on things like understanding racial preference in dating apps, the reality of dating across race, challenges faced by Black men and Asian men in dating app preferences, women's racial preference explained, and navigating modern day dating dynamics. So, introduction. In the realm of online dating, perceptions and preferences can vary significantly across different racial and ethnic groups. This summary examines the attractiveness of various racial groups on dating apps, backed by research and studies primarily conducted in the US and the UK. By exploring the dynamics at play, we can gain a clearer understanding of the challenges and advantages faced by individuals from different backgrounds in the online dating landscape. So, Chapter 1: Asian Men on Dating Apps. When it comes to dating apps, Asian men are often rated as the least attractive by women, according to several studies. These men tend to get the fewest matches and messages. See, when we talk about Asian men, we are referring to both East Asian men, like those from China, Japan, and Korea, and South Asian men, such as those from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Both groups face their own challenges and stereotypes in Western dating. Interestingly, there has been a slight shift recently, especially with East Asian men gaining more visibility due to K-pop and Korean media. Some women now view them more positively, but this doesn't apply to everyone and doesn't always extend to South Asian men. South Asian men, often referred to as brown dudes, also encounter significant difficulties and unique stereotypes on dating apps. In some situations, they may even face more challenges than East Asian men. In summary, while both East Asian men and South Asian men are grouped together in discussion about dating, their experiences and the stereotypes they face can vary widely based on dating platforms, locations, and current cultural trends. Although Asian men are hindered on dating apps primarily by stereotypes that portray them as less masculine, less assertive, and less desirable, compounded by exclusionary racial preference. You see, over 90% of non-Asian women in some studies show that they exclude Asian men in their dating preferences, often due to ingrained cultural biases and stereotypes. Most studies and articles that cite this statistics are referring primarily to East Asian men. Example: Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. The research and anecdotal experiences discussed focuses on the exclusion of East Asian men in Western dating markets, including the lack of positive media representation. Also, South Asian men face additional negative assumptions related to their hygiene regarding their scent. Hey, I'm just a messenger here. However, and lastly, their attitude towards women. Chapter 2: Black Men and Dating Apps. When it comes to dating apps, Black men often face some tough challenges as well. They generally rank third in terms of attractiveness on these platforms, but they are among the least likely to be chosen by women from other races, although they do fare better than Asian men. Research shows that users are 2.3 to 3.3 times less likely to swipe right on Black profiles compared to white ones, even if the profiles are equally attractive. White women and women from other races tend to prefer white men, while Black women show the strongest preference for Black men. Interestingly, Black men are more likely to 2 receive messages from black women than from women of other races. Overall, black women have a strong preference for black men, while women from other races typically gravitates towards white men. This dynamic highlights the unique challenges and preferences present in the online dating landscape for black men. Now, black men face several challenges on dating apps that can hinder their success. First, many experience racial discrimination, where they are rejected or ignored just because of their race, especially by white users. Some apps even allow users to state preferences like no blacks. Additionally, black men often deal with stereotypes that reduce them to sexual objects, which can make it difficult to tell if someone is genuinely interested or just curious. The dating scene tends to favor Eurocentric beauty standards, which can reinforce feelings of white superiority and make black men less desirable on these platforms. Furthermore, light-skinned black men may be preferred over those with darker skin, highlighting the issues of colorism. Lastly, many black men feel they need to meet higher standards in terms of looks and fitness to attract attention, which can create added pressure compared to men of other races. But, however, needless to say, a few advantages that black men might have that give them a good fighting chance include several factors. Now, black men have a strong presence in pop culture, such as music, such as movies and films, and of course, sports. There are also stereotypes that some deem as negative, but some could argue favor them. Like, I don't know, maybe like adult entertainment. I'm just saying. However, black men are often perceived to be more strong and masculine to some. So with that being said, if a man possesses all those attributes as a black man on a dating app, is likely to have a better chance than the average black man of attracting a woman who is open to dating black men, whether she's from another race or a woman from another race who has a specific type that happens to include black men. Some could say this game is rigged, but sometimes you just gotta play the game to win. And some have to accept the fact that you're gonna have to work harder than others. Mixed race men and dating apps. However, mixed race men, those who are half black and half white, do tend to do better than single race black men on dating apps. Research shows a divided effect where multiracial men are often preferred above all other groups, including white men, by only certain women. Specifically, black, white, multiracial men received more positive responses than the single race black men from both black and white women, though white men still remain the most preferred overall. In summary, mixed race men, including those part black, generally receive more interest than black men on dating apps, but are still less preferred than white men by most white women. Chapter 3: Latino men and dating apps. Latino men generally rank second in terms of dating preferences, with their appeal varying by region and types of users on dating apps. Hispanic or Latino men are quite active on these platforms and usually get average to above average attention compared to other racial groups. Though they don't have the highest engagement, their experiences can depend on where they live, which apps are popular, and personal preferences. But overall, they aren't at a major disadvantage in online dating. When we talk about Hispanic people, we're mainly referring to those from Spanish-speaking countries like Mexico, throughout South America, like Colombia being a notable example, and the Caribbean, as well as Spain itself. Physically, Hispanic individuals can show a wide variety of features because of their diverse backgrounds, which may include indigenous, European, and African ancestry. You will see different skin tones, hair types ranging from straight to curly hair, and eye colors from brown to green. Some may have darker skin and darker hair, while others might have lighter features. Overall, Hispanic individuals represent a vibrant mix of cultures and appearances that reflect their rich heritage. White man's relative advantage in dating apps. So, across multiple studies and large-scale dating app data, white men are generally rated as the most attractive by women of all races, with notable exceptions of black women who show a strong preference for black men. Research shows that white men have what's called sexual capital in the online dating world, meaning they often have an easier time attracting potential partners. This phenomenon is known as the gendered white advantage. So, what does this mean? Well, white men generally face fewer challenges when dating outside their race compared to men from other racial backgrounds. They tend to receive more positive responses from women of different races. Although it's important to note that women still mostly prefer men from their own racial groups. This advantage is seen across various dating platforms and in different studies, indicating it's a consistent trend rather than just a quirk of one particular app. Overall, this research highlights how white men often have more opportunities in the dating market. When we talk about white ethnicity, there are several important groups to consider. First, we have the Anglo-Saxon, who mainly come from England. Next are the Nordic people from countries like Sweden, who are often known for their light blonde hair and blue eyes. Then we have the Slavs, who are from Eastern Europe and can have a variety of hair colors. The Celts come from Ireland and are often recognized for their striking ginger or red hair, however you want to put it, amongst other nations. Lastly, there's the Mediterranean group, which includes people from Southern Europe, like Italy, who typically have darker hair and olive skin. Now, you might see a lot of the times on TV or TikToks or wherever, and specifically when you see white women referred to as the ideal man, being tall, dark, and handsome, well, these are the men they're talking about. They're Mediterranean looking men who possess these facial traits. Well, with that being said, each of these groups has its own unique characteristics and cultural backgrounds. Women's racial preference in dating. When it comes to dating preferences, women tend to show some distinct patterns across racial lines. One key thing to note is that women generally prefer dating men of their own race. This in-group preference is particularly strong among white women. For example, in a speed dating study near Columbia University, researchers found that women were significantly more likely than men to choose dates within their own racial groups. This preference for some racial partners held true even when comparing equally selective men and women. The data shows that women are much more sensitive to race than men when it comes to their dating choices. This pattern has been observed across various dating platforms and research settings, suggesting it's a consistent trend. So while there are nuance and individual differences, the general takeaway is that women, regardless of their own racial background, tend to gravitate towards dating men of their own same race. This racial in-group preference is an important dynamic to understand in the context of dating and relationships. Chapter 6. Cross-racial preference in dating. Even though women generally prefer to date within their own race, there are some interesting patterns when it comes to cross-racial dating. For instance, white women often show a stronger preference for Hispanic men compared to Asian men when they choose to date outside their racial group. In a speed dating study, researchers found that 47% of the matches were interracial, which is quite high compared to the 5 to 10% interracial marriage rates in the United States. This suggests that while initial attraction can easily cross racial lines, forming long-term relationships might be more complicated. Another interesting finding from the study was that older individuals and those perceived as more physically attractive were less likely to stick to the same race preference. This indicates that factors like age and attractiveness can influence how strongly someone feels about racial preference in dating. Overall, while in-group preferences are common, there's also an openness to cross-racial dating that can be shaped by various factors. Chapter 7. The gap between attitudes and dating behaviors. There's an interesting disconnect between what people say about race and how they actually behave when it comes to dating. A study by OkCupid from 2009 to 2014 showed that while users' answers to questions about racial attitudes became more open-minded over time, their actual behaviors, like who they rated and messaged, continued to show strong racial preferences. This tells us that there can be a gap between what people consciously believe about racial equality and their unconscious biases when it comes to romance. Now, while looking at research on dating apps, it's important to consider some limitation. One key issue is self-selection biases. The people using dating apps don't perfectly represent general dating pool. A Reddit commenter pointed out that online daters are already stepping outside traditional dating norms, which means their preference might differ from those who date offline. Many people use dating apps to find partners they might not meet in their everyday lives, which can skew their understanding of racial preference in dating. So while researchers offers valuable insight, it's essential to recognize these limitations and understand that online dating behaviors may not fully reflect broader societal attitudes. Conclusion. In summary, the landscape of online dating varies significantly across different racial and ethnic groups, with each group facing its own unique challenges and advantages. While the statistics presented here may point a certain picture of dating preferences and behaviors, it's essential to remember that these do not have to dictate your reality. If you find yourself in a category statistically less successful, it's important to recognize that with effort and a good online presence, such as being well dressed, in good shape, and taking professional pictures, most people can achieve positive results on dating apps. Anybody can be a Chad or Tyrone, whether you're South Asian or East Asian. There's handsome people everywhere in the world. You just have to remember that every race, ethnicity has handsome people. You just have to build your attraction up to that level. So at the end of the day, most people can achieve positive results on dating apps. Your individual experiences can differ greatly from the statistics, as personal attributes and presentation play a significant role in attracting potential partners. But most importantly, it's about getting rid of those bad stereotypes that may hinder us on dating apps. With that being said, I'm gonna leave it on that note. If you enjoyed this video, if this video was informative, please like, share, and subscribe. And salute. See you later.